Super Mario Glitchy 4, a show that, practically speaking, needs little to no introduction in the YouTube community. Starting off their channel on May 7th, 2011, with their first video titled SMG4 Shorts The Cake Is a Lie, the channel quickly grew in popularity within a few years of constant uploads. However, this is not a documentary on the origins of SMG4, nor is it about my personal experience with the series. And while I would love to have a 5-minute section of this video discussing how I came to adore this show, I'll just say this. Without Luke's content, I would not be making videos like I do today. In fact, I probably wouldn't even have a YouTube channel. But I digress. This video is about one thing and one thing only: how SMG4 lost its iconic humor that made it so enjoyable. During 2017 to 2019, the period that I personally would consider peak SMG4, the premise of the show revolved mainly around one character, Mario. Episodes mostly consisted of Mario accidentally getting himself into a wacky adventure, not caring the least about what's important, and generally just being a complete and total retard. Now, this is already an excellent recipe for good humor, but it's the little things that Luke added to the videos that made it great humor. Each episode was filled to the brim with meme references, over-the-top violence, general mayhem, profanity, witty dialogue and sound effects, cheap animations and ragdoll physics, and a general sense of stupidity. Now, not every episode was perfect during the peak era, but there was enough quality humor in each episode for anyone to find it entertaining. So, what happened? Obviously, something changed. The plot still had Mario in it, still had wacky adventures, still had some memes, but it's not the same. So, I ask again, what happened? You can tell that this is the part of the video where I start going over controversial topics and opinions that a lot of the modern audience of SMG4 do not agree with. I'm going to cover 5 things that I think are the culprit of this radical change of style this show has received. But before I do that, while I would like to make a joke about how what I say is 100% true and everyone else with another opinion is wrong, I can't because I know how butthurt this fanbase can get over videos like this. Just know that this is coming from a guy who considered himself a fan of SMG4 and started consistently watching him back in 2021 and had to stop watching him in 2023 because he was just no longer entertaining. So this could technically be considered an opinion from a modern fan if you think about it. Anyway, on to the first topic. It's no surprise that since 2011, the animation style of SMG4 has changed from just straight up Super Mario 64 gameplay with subtitles to the inclusion of Gary's Mod machinimas, and now to basically just full on 3D animation. Honestly, it's awe-inspiring how much modern SMG4 lacks in humorous animation. Gone are the Mario 64 models that we've had since day one, and now the funny ragdoll physics have almost completely disappeared as well.
Why are you hating on SMG4 for improving their animation? That's like hating on a game studio for improving their gameplay.
Yes, good point, Timmy. The issue here is that there's a fine line between improving your animations and completely removing the animation style in place of a new one. SMG4 was always cheap Gary's Mod animations and ragdolls and Mario 64 models, not straight up meticulous 3D animation. That's for their glitch channel, not this one. For an example, take South Park. Sure, they've improved their animation, but it's still cardboard-like cutouts with static movements. Characters hop around. There's no full walking animation. Heads only have 4 directions they can move to: front, left, right, or back. Yes, their animation has improved, but it's still its original animation style. If I can show someone a scene from 1998 and a scene from one of their latest episodes, my guess is that they would still say it's South Park. It's hard to say the same for SMG4. Sure, you have the same characters, but most of the time, the modern animation looks like one of those reanimated scenes you see for TV shows on YouTube. And Timmy, if we're going to use a game as an example, it's like the Zelda series. Gone are the smartly designed temples, items, and linear gameplay, and turn for a huge open world, no items, no linearity, and really lackluster temples. Something has changed, it's not the same anymore, and a good chunk of people hate that this is the new direction all future Zelda games will follow. And it's really, really disappointing that we may never get a new linear 3D Zelda. But I digress, and before I end this topic of animation, I have a question for the viewer. In your eyes, what's funnier? Cheap animations that look purposely stupid with ragdoll physics to boot, or professional level 3D animations that look like something a college student hands in for their final? I personally will always go with the former, as seeing models just flop around will never not be funny for me. And given thought, it is actually a more unique animation style than just standard 3D animation. I'm honestly surprised SMG4 hasn't just completely switched to Blender at this point. It's probably only a matter of time now that I think about it. Yep, they'll focus more on animation, just like they started putting more effort into... Nobody likes censorship. Nobody wants it, nor needs it. Censorship should never exist in the government, businesses, and most importantly, media. Now, what do I mean by censorship? Of course, the first thought would go to profanity. Obviously, it must be that I'm saying I detest the steep lack of F-bombs and sex jokes in modern SMG4. Well, perhaps so, but again, only to an extent. It's a bad idea to make a show's humor only swearing and sex jokes. Now, you know exactly what two shows I'd reference for an example of this, but I would please like to keep the topic of SMG4 as far away from VivziePop as Antulate. However, it's not the exclusion of profanity and dark humor from these episodes' scripts, but more of the butchered inclusion of them. I've always been a guy to believe that if somebody wants to say something, that they should say it with no filter. Say what you mean, don't cut yourself short. Don't only say half the points you want to make for an argument because you're afraid of backlash. Use all your arsenal. That's literally what I'm doing with all these points in this video. Anyway, to say all that, SMG4, why do you include swear words if you're just gonna bleep them out anyway? Everybody already hates that stupid censorship sound everyone uses. Not to mention, in some of their latest episodes, they even censor written words in the background. You can't have edgy humor and swearing just to bleep it all out. That's called being a hypocrite. And nobody likes a hypocrite.
Well, maybe SMG4 is just trying to appeal more to kids.
It's SMG4! It has never been kid-friendly! And even if your main audience consists of a bunch of 12-year-olds, the chances are, if they go to school, they've already heard every bad word, slur, and dirty joke ever made.
Well, maybe they're just trying not to get demonetized?
Then they're being illogical cowards. I'm sure that the money that they make from SMG4 is only a percentage of that they get from Glitch, their merch stores, conventions, etc. This team made the amazing Digital Circus, and that masterpiece is on Netflix. You think they have money issues? Literally, end of story. Even if the entire SMG4 channel got demonetized forever by YouTube, they'd be fine. So, no, there's no reason to censor the swearing or rude humor. Honestly, if you are gonna censor it anyway, just don't include it to begin with. Just don't. It is and will always be stupid. And speaking of stupid, Luke, what is up with the... Yeah, you saw that right. I'm attacking that now. I don't care if this gets me a lot of angry comments. I'm not holding myself back. I don't give a crap anymore. Before we start though, I have another question for you. In a comedy show, what is the most important trait a character should have? Breasts? No. Uselessness? No. Constant drama and milking of character for the sake of plot? No. Being funny. That's what's the most important. There's no reason to have a character in a comedy show if that character is unfunny. You know what? I'll be a bit more lenient, because I actually like Maggie. Good characters need to be funny or fun in a comedy show. If I'm not laughing my ass off due to the humor, I want to be visually entertained, and not with watermelon boobs, Kevin. Maggie is the only girl I like on SMG4. If we're excluding Toadette, who is actually funny, but she doesn't really show up anymore, so whatever. And it's not even modern Maggie I like, who's literally just an angry sister for Mario to team up with whenever the writers deem it necessary. My favorite was always the OG Inkling Maggie. Her design was fun, her attitude was cool, she could be violent, she was great in action scenes, and was overall just an enjoyable character. And you could tell she was a great character, because she got milked the crap out of in like 3 different arcs. It's mesmerizing how much trauma this one character has in the show alone compared to literally everyone else in the cast. It's understandable though, all the other girls suck. Tari is basically Girl Luigi, except not funny. Psycho is annoying, always angry, and literally only brings the show down. And don't get me started on Melanie. It's not that I just want to strangle the character for being voiced by the Ferget Wolfie-Chew. It's more that her being included was so dumb. You want to know how she was created? I'll tell you. Literally, Luke was just minding his own business when Kevin barged into his room and said, "I want a watermelon waifu in SMG4. And Luke said fine. He said, fine. Why? And this isn't made up at all. They say this in a Hobo Bros episode. I'm pretty sure it's the one they did on Memes of Melanie. Go look for yourself. And it didn't even end there. You'd think after adding an angry anime girl, a Meta Runner mascot, a watermelon slut, and redesigning Maggie like so many times I can't even keep track. You'd think after doing all that garbage, they'd have enough female characters for the roster. Well, think again, bucko! Kevin must have been browsing a hot single mom's dating site or something because he had the genius idea to add a wage slave, mother of three, angry single mom cat furry named Karen. Why? Why? Just why? Oh. And yes, you better believe that this character has all sorts of lore and is basically in every SMG4 episode since she's been introduced. Did they run out of ideas to be funny? None of the characters they have added in the last 5 years of SMG4 have been remotely funny at all. And, you know, that includes Axel too. Just to say that sometimes it's not always the girls that they add that aren't funny. But if you're still upset with me saying that all these girls are useless and unfunny, then answer me this. What are your top 5 funniest SMG4 characters? Characters that almost every time they're on screen do something that makes you laugh. I'll go first. Mario, Bob, Swag, Shroomy, and SMG4. Now it's your turn. You can tell me in the comments if you want, but my guess is that your list will be something like mine and most likely not have a single girl in it.
Well, sometimes it's not always about humor, dude.
You're right, and unfortunately, most times it's not at all. Sadly, most days it seems like the unwritten rule of modern SMG4 is do I really need to even make a section on this? Literally, anybody who's a 4-year-old fan of SMG4 or longer has already completely recognized this. Gone are the episodes of Mario just doing stupid stuff because it's funny. Now there has to be a deeper meaning or lore attachment to every single freaking episode. And you all know this is true because you've all seen it. But sometimes this isn't the case. Sometimes episodes focus solely on lore or character development or story progression. And these can happen consistently for months at a time. And honestly, I don't know why they do it. It used to be alright. 10 months out of the year, we would just get our regular stupid Mario videos, and then in June and July, we would have 2 months of some story build-up mixed with the humor leading up to War of the Fat Italians. And you know what? It worked. They gave us some decent story with Watfi, and then it just went back to normal. Nowadays, it's the opposite. If we're lucky, we'll maybe get 5 episodes per year of just Mario doing something stupid that doesn't have any hidden lore or story plot attached to it. And you know, even when they try to be funny, it doesn't hit as hard anymore, mainly because of the first 3 points already made. It's just bad. It's not the same, nor has it improved. And don't get me started on all the SMG4 theorists out there. Oh my goodness! Why are there SMG4 theorists? SMG4 was never meant to have lore. It was meant to be a funny show on the internet. Stop! Anyway, I think I've made my point as clear as I can. I'm now going to put on my tinfoil hat and talk about who I think is responsible for all these terrible changes. Yes, Kevin. I am 99% convinced that the downfall of this channel's content is tied to Kevin taking a good chunk of the reins in SMG4. He's responsible for Melanie, Karen, I'm pretty sure, and he may have been responsible for the Maggie redesign, I don't know. Now, I know that Luke still partly writes SMG4, but I just think that it's very, very interesting that we didn't get any of the girls until we got Kevin working on the show too. I don't have a lot of info on this, like I said, this is just a theory. A YouTube theory! I miss Matt Pat. All I know is that Kevin added all these new female characters, and that it would kind of make sense if he was writing all the stories for these characters too. Just trying to put something out there to see if anybody else has thought about this before. This was going to be a short section anyway, as I didn't have any real proof to show compared to last time. I just feel like he's the guy who's responsible. But, you know, if he's not, shame on Luke for letting his show get to this point. It's a pretty big step down compared to other internet shows that have been around for longer like SML or Eddsworld. Now those guys are still quality. However, I don't feel like all hope is lost. Maybe 95% lost, but not all. So then, yes, how could they fix SMG4? How could they make SMG4 great again? That is the question. Well, the first thing is to get rid of the first 4 issues I brought up. Return the Mario 64 models and ragdoll physics, and stop over animating. It looks weird and the old animation style was 10 times funnier. Either stop censoring profanity and dark jokes, or don't use them. While I would prefer the former, if you guys are so hell-bent on not getting demonetized no matter what, just don't use any of them in the first place. Everyone hates obvious censorship. Lose the girls, please. You can keep Maggie and Tari if you're so overly attached to her, but lose Psycho, Melanie, and Karen. Keep them as background characters like you now do with Shroomy and Swag. Unfunny girl characters occasionally showing up is better than them always showing up. Start making videos that are funny. Period. Don't worry about lore, don't worry about plot. If you think of something that would make someone laugh, do it. And overall, just remember your roots, your origins. People watched you for humor, your iconic humor, the jokes and gags that made SMG4 SMG4. People came to see Mario because he was funny, and he was funny, and the audience loved it. I hate to use this saying when it comes to art, but sadly, it applies to SMG4 a lot. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And now, SMG4 is broken, shattered into pieces of what it used to be. It's broken, and now I'm not sure if it'll ever be fixed. Do I think SMG4 will get better? No. Do I think it's going to get worse? Yes. They'll probably keep adding more female characters, move to Blender for better 3D animation, completely get rid of all rude humor, and eventually get rid of Mario.
Get rid of Mario? Why would they do that?
Fear and money, Timmy. Fear and money. It will happen one day. I believe it. It happened with SML, so it'll probably happen with SMG4 too. I'd give them maybe 5 years till that happens. Don't quote me on that though. It might take longer. It's just sad, you know. They will always be my favorite internet show, but it's so sad to see how bad they've gotten. SMG4 has lost its iconic humor. But, you know what? Let's not be sad for the state it is today. Let's be happy for the childhood memories it gave us. The Mario Mafia, Mario vs. Sonic Prank Battle, Mario Preschool, Mario's Road Trip, Mario Works at McDonald's, Tubby TV. How could I ever forget these? Thanks for the laughs, SMG4. Thanks for the influence you've given me over the years. Thanks for the memories. Thanks for everything. Thank you.